You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. Welcoming you, taking a lap of the extra mile for today, February 22nd, 2024. And we had to wait a day for it, but the Daytona 500 absolutely delivered. Formula One testing is not. And why are people complaining about fuel mileage? We'll talk about that and more on this program. But first, let me welcome in my co-hosts, Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward.
Howdy.
If you are listening to us live, make sure to get your comments in. We will read them as the show goes on. And folks, let's go ahead and get started. I managed to pull myself out of Helldivers 2 to show up for the program. If you have played that game, you understand.
I think that game has taken the gaming world by storm, definitely.
Yeah, it definitely has. Give me 1 second. We are reverbing. All right, go ahead and say something.
Something.
There we go. Okay, I got the system fixed up. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the show first. Chris, Michael, how were your weeks?
They were really good, and we'll talk a little bit about my Monday afternoon in a little while. But no, pretty good week so far. How about you, Michael?
Work has been very slow as of late, so I've mostly just been in a really relaxed state. So not complaining here from me.
I feel
that. Say nothing to feel bad about there.
Yeah, like this new position I'm in is so far it's seeming like it's kind of slow. So
yeah, my position, you guys know I got a new job. My position feels kind of slow, but it's going to pick up here soon. So I'm relishing the days where I don't have a lot to do, because in a month or so, I'm going to have a lot to do. I'm going to be real tired after doing some of these shows. But let's go ahead and get going. The NASCAR field is not tired, but actually there's one driver that's tired, William Byron, because he's on the tour for winning the Daytona 500 in what ended up being, it looked like it was going to be a classic Hendrick versus Hendrick finish, but unfortunately Ross Chastain had the Ross Chastain. I think we're kind of split on what happened there with 2 to go, or technically 1 to go, depending on how you look at it, with where they threw the caution. My problem is it's another Chastaining where
Chastain.
I think if he holds the wheel straight, he has enough room to muscle Byron out of the way. But instead, he turns down, goes across Austin Dillon's nose, wrecks the field, which ends up causing the caution millimeters before Alex Bowman was going to end up winning that race if the caution comes out just a hair sooner. But yep. Chris, you kind of think that Chastain didn't have anywhere to go.
I don't really think so. He was carrying so much momentum. And when you're coming down to 1 to go and you've got momentum, you do not lift. You might as well just coast right into the pits if that's what you're going to do, because you'll never have the respect of your team. That's the big thing you got to think about, is if he lifts or even hits the brakes, how does he look at Justin Marks in the face again? You know what I mean? The Daytona 500, you're in the top 5, we'll say, right? He was propelling himself to the lead. But how do you look at the guy that owns the car in the face if you lift?
I mean, my thing is, he doesn't really have much options. If he goes for the move, he's getting turned by the 2. If he floors it, keeps your foot in it, and hits the back of, who was in front of him again?
It was Byron in front of him.
It was Byron.
Okay, Byron is in front of him. If he hits the back of Byron, the worst that can happen is he turns him into the wall, or he manages to keep straight. I just kind of feel like, he should have just kept where he was instead of making a move like that, because at least he could have still had a chance to win the race. Instead, he spun, and now he's in a lower finishing position. I just think he should have not really try what he tried, but stay behind Byron.
Mm-hmm. My problem with Ross Chastain is it feels like he's not learning anything over the past year and a half, where he got into it with Rick Hendrick's team, where he kept wrecking all of those guys. He's got to,
And the Gibbs guys, Denny
yeah,
Hamlin, he was taking out Denny like every couple races.
yeah. We remember the Denny Hamlin versus Ross Chastain feud that started to build. My issue is he wants to play like the second coming of Dale Earnhardt Sr. is kind of what he's doing, but the issue is Senior, except for the Daytona 500, he finished the deal when he did this crap. You know, say what you will about Senior's driving style, but he won races. Ross isn't winning races. He's ending up in the grass with half the field torn up. So
Hmm.
it's not. He's got to be smarter in these late race situations. He should have a lot more wins than he does, but he doesn't because he gets in the late race situations. You guys can see me. He just goes, takes his head off, and just drives on instinct. But dude, your instinct it don't work. It just doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And the thing everybody it's one of those things that you forget with time and things lessen over with time. But Dale Earnhardt was not a particularly well liked driver. He had a very loyal fan base, but his competition, they respected him, but they didn't like him.
There's a lot of people that didn't like him.
So we've got this, I think 20 some years really changes your perspective on things.
Mm-hmm.
But Dale Earnhardt was, uh, like I said, he was not very well liked. I mean, I'm sure, like, they were cordial and stuff like that, and a lot of fans did not like him. So, we talk about a second coming of Dale Earnhardt all the time, but I wouldn't want that to be my reputation.
No.
I wouldn't want to be known as the next Dale Earnhardt, to be completely honest with you. I want to be known as Chris Lehman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
It's
make up a great point. I think, he should try to find like his own or write his own legacy instead of trying to be somebody else that you're not.
well. Here's what I will say, and then we'll move on to the next topic. The Hail Melon, I think, was the best worst thing to happen to Ross because now he thinks he can do no wrong. Which he's the only person with the stones to do what he did that day at Martinsville. But he's let that become his persona to a detriment where I'm going to just throw it because that's what people want me to do. He's got to be smarter. He had a chance to win the Daytona 500 and he threw it away. Of course, we had the big one with 10 to go, and there's been a lot of people talking about that wreck and trying to say, oh, it's just stupid. It was more bad blocks, and oh, it was a great Daytona 480. The regular stuff we get when there's a big wreck at plate tracks. And folks, there is a difference
That wasn't the
between.
Daytona 480. The truck was the Daytona 480.
Yeah, I'm about to get to that. There's a difference between what we saw in the Daytona 500 and the wreck fest that was the truck and ARCA race. And we're going to talk about that in the second segment because I have some words for those folks. But the
So
Daytona
there's
500
words.
was very clean, in my opinion. We didn't have like a whole bunch of bad wrecks from people doing stupid stuff. That wreck with 10 to go, and we were talking about it before we came on. I don't blame anybody there. It's 10 to go in the Daytona 500. You got to make a move. And everybody was making a move. And unfortunately, Bowman gave a huge shot to Byron. He misjudged it a little bit, and calamity happened after that. But there's really nothing any different in that situation I could see Byron doing. You've got to get yourself and your teammate up there.
Yeah. Um, we talked about it in the pre-show a little bit. I don't think it was completely all Bowman. I definitely think that, um, I mean, he's my driver, so I'm biased, but uh, let's just get that out of the way. Um, but I don't think it was necessarily all him. I think it was mostly a racing deal. You tend to go. And there was definitely some commotion up front. Um, the six and the 22, the one everybody was kind of getting fishy there on that backstretch, and then Byron checked up, and Bowman, you hear him lift, you hear him get off the throttle, and then just a couple seconds later, he just hits Byron in the wrong spot as Byron's kind of swerving in front of him to miss. I think it was the 22 coming down. So there was a little bit of a some traffic, and it wasn't just like an egregious push that was just uncalled for. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
more situational than that. um but yeah, and at the end of the day, if you make a move like that and you cause the big one, um you better back it up. And Bowman and Byron finished 1 and 2, and they were the two that caused the wreck, and they got through unscathed. And at the end of the day, uh, they caused it, but they won. So we talked about last year, like Ross Chastain learned how to wreck people the right way, where he would wreck you and he would drive off and have a fantastic day, and that's the reason he got away with it. And it got overlooked for so long was because the results backed him. And I don't think Byron or Bowman are the type they're gonna make this their personality and dump people to win. I don't think it was really intentional at all, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think that it was necessarily the fault of anything else. I think it was just kind of a racing deal.
Yeah, I would agree. It's honestly, I want to just say it's just plate racing
Yeah.
Yeah.
and just leave it at that.
I think the big conversation though that came out of the Daytona 500 is this conversation about the team saving fuel to the point that NASCAR is going to. They've said they're going to look into it. Here's my thing. We wanted fuel mileage back. The teams kind of found it again. It was very compelling, even though the race pace wasn't very quick. It was extremely compelling to see the chess game playing out of what group was going to save enough fuel and get themselves in position for that third stage, which is kind of what they would have done anyway, even without the stages. So I don't think they need to change anything with the package. I think it's fine the way it is. What did you guys think about the fuel strategy played out during the first couple stages?
I didn't have a problem with it the way that everybody on Twitter had a problem with it. Um, I didn't really see what the big deal was, to be completely honest with you. But what something that I did think was interesting was an engineer, something for one of the teams. I don't really know who. I just kind of saw um, somebody responded to it, and it kind of showed up on my feed. But somebody that works for one of the teams said, "Okay, so you don't like the fuel mileage thing. What do you suggest we do as an alternative, putting it back on the fans?" And of course, to probably the surprise of nobody actually had a real idea how to do anything in the Twitter comments, which just further backs up my life belief that Twitter is a cesspool.
Well, here's my thing. It's a 500-mile race. It doesn't matter if there are stages, if there are not stages, if they're running a figure eight. Eventually, they're going to try to save fuel. They're saving fuel for when they roll off the grid now. Because it doesn't matter if it's oval racing, road course racing, dirt track racing, dirt road, the Dakar Rally. The team that stops the least amount of times is probably going to win the race. Everybody has figured that out. The strategists on the box are really smart, and they're going to run to a number in a race like this. Now, we'll see more of the same in Atlanta. It's going to be a little different when we head out west to Vegas, but you wanted fuel. I need to find the SpongeBob meme where the kid is mad and the fish says, "Then why did you ask for it?" And just post that every time there's a debate about a race this year. Because I think that would just fit what's going on.
Sounds good to me.
I ain't complaining.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to flip this coin and talk about the unfortunate ARCA and Truck Saturday night that we saw here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, sponsored by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Jerky that is, quite frankly, out of this world. We'll be right back.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson, It's your boy Dentarius Live.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
And we're back here in the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Daryl, Chris, and Michael here with you this evening. We're going to talk about some Formula One testing here in a little bit and talk about why some of these times might be deceiving, even though if you're not a Red Bull fan, you're probably pretty disheartened about that. But we'll get into that in the third segment of the show. First, we have to talk about, let's just get into it, the farce that was the ARCA and the Truck Series race. We started about 72 vehicles. I think we wrecked 3/4 of them. The ARCA race, I think, was the most egregious, but Chris, Michael, Friday was not the best return for NASCAR.
No, it isn't. I think we had about 50, I think 50 something laps under caution.
Yeah, I think we set a record in the Truck Series for cautions, and then we go to the ARCA race, and Gus Dean, he wrecks half the field to start the race, gets his teammate wrecked at the end of the race, and ends up winning. Not a lot of happy campers on Friday night, and I think, honestly, to be completely candid, it's time to take the Truck Series and Xfinity Series off of the big tracks, I think.
Ooh.
Because they're just tearing up a bunch of equipment, and they're not racing like they have any sense whatsoever. And especially with the trucks, we put somebody upside down again. I am really afraid we're going to kill somebody in that series the way it's going.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say it is, these big tracks with tons of speed are dangerous for the people that, are not as good yet. That's not saying that these guys don't have talent and that they never will. But as it stands, where they are in their career, it would be better off. They would be better off developmentally not going to tracks like that. I think they'd be better off at slower tracks where they can, just be safer and it's not as technical. Because, as you guys know, and as a lot of motorsports fans know, these big tracks like Daytona, they are highly technical and they take a lot of skill, and consistency to be able to successfully race them.
Yeah. And the problem with the truck series that we have here is that we used to have a lot of veterans that would run that series. We don't have that anymore. We don't have the Johnny Bensons. We don't have the Scott Riggs, the Ron Hornadays, those type of guys that they had some cup experience. They came down. They ran multiple full seasons in the truck series and taught these guys how to race. Right now, to be honest, you've got a bunch of kids. A lot of them are paying for rides, and they're not driving like they have some sense. And unfortunately, we're seeing it play out. We really saw it play out last year in the truck series, and it looks like, unfortunately, 2024 is going to be more of the same.
Yeah, I'm not overly well versed lower series, just time constraints. But uh, yeah, kind of what you're saying about the more experienced guys coming down. Um, yeah, we've seen the backlash on Twitter and with the fan opinion. Nobody likes Kyle Busch coming down and just wiping the field. Um, but I guess in good news, Kyle Busch is running some Truck Series races this year, which is kind of funny. This is the year he doesn't have a truck team anymore. Um, but he's Spire, right? He's running for Spire.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's been a couple years since he's been in a truck. And two or three probably. Um, so it'll be good to see. It's good to see that avenue opening back up because last year I don't think anybody from the Cup Series ran anything in the lower series, did they? Not to my recollection, at
We had
least.
it was very few, but we did have some.
I know a couple guys ran Xfinity, but I don't know if. Oh, you know what? I think the Hendrick boys did runs in trucks, but I
Yeah,
don't think
it was
anybody else
mostly the
did.
Hendrick guys. Yeah. So we've got to get back to that. Now the thing is, those weren't guys that were also running in Cup because people was like, well, you wanted to take the Cup guys out of the truck series. No, we wanted to take them out of running the full season. If they want to take time after their Cup Series run is done and go run Xfinity in trucks, I've got no problem with that. My problem is you're actively running in Cup and you're using it as a practice session, especially right now where we don't have any practice.
Yeah.
But we've got to get these veterans, once they're done with Cup, back running in trucks and Xfinity, if just to tell these guys, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, we don't have the we don't have the drivers that are staying in the trucks and Xfinity 5 to 10 years. The sponsorship money is not there. So this is what we are seeing. And then we're not even going to talk about ARCA. We know that is a definition of cash-strapped racing. And it's just tough. Michael, I don't know if you saw any of the kerfuffles from Friday night. What did you think?
It's definitely a lot of crashing and a lot of unsportsmanlike driving that you wouldn't expect from professional racing drivers. And I believe when I got back, you guys were talking about I want to say the lack of veteran presence.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to agree with you. I think a veteran presence there would definitely help to, keep them in line. Because, back in the day, we had, Ron Horderday, Johnny Benson, Kyle Busch, to name a few, and they would keep them in line or they would check them.
Mm-hmm.
But here they don't really have that. So it's nobody really telling them, hey, don't do that, like you said. So I just think there needs to be like a veteran presence to keep them in line.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I don't know how we get that at this point. But we're heading out to Atlanta this weekend. We'll have more of the super speedway style racing, but a mile and a half, a little bit closer field. Hopefully, should be some cleaner racing this weekend.
We should hope. Atlanta's the best super speedway we have on the schedule right now, in my opinion.
Yes. Michael, are you excited for racing there?
Atlanta, yeah, I'm always excited for Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I was excited for it even before the rework.
Yeah. And of course, we do need to check the weather out there as we go to the weather in Atlanta. Going to be blustery on Saturday. We're going to be some rain on Sunday, on Friday. But the good news is for the race, going to be clean and green.
That's awesome.
That's good to hear. Don't got to worry about rain.
Yep. Hold on for a second. Okay, here we go. So it should be nice, but the thing about this track is it is definitely the playground of Hendrick since they repaved it. They have been dominant in the wins here the last few years.
Yeah, they won 3 or 4.
Yep, and I think there were probably some pro Hendrick picks there during our nearest the win. We'll see later.
That we will, and I think you might be right, Daryl. I'm actually looking at. We're only waiting on one entry to come in for nearest the win this week. Everybody else is submitted.
Okay. So it should be fun. Another 500-miler to start the season, and then we will go into our more traditional races, starting with Las Vegas. But it's going to be an exciting season for all the touring series, and hopefully ARCA goes well. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into the testing that was going on with Formula One and why this isn't just going to be a runaway for Red Bull this season. We'll talk about that on the other side of this break here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. They're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we're back here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Daryl, Chris, and Michael here with you to talk the Formula One testing. Red Bull topped much of the running when we actually it was really between Red Bull and Ferrari that topped the testing times. A lot of folks are assuming that it's going to be more of a Red Bull to lose season, but let's kind of talk them off the ledge here. How do we think this season is going to go so far?
Michael, you want to go first?
I'm not too sure.
Well, Michael, you've got something to look forward to for next year, at least. Not saying to write off this year, but the Tifosi, they got the big guy.
Yeah, we got the big guy, and I'm looking forward to that definitely. But this year, I don't know. The arrow on the Red Bull looks insane, and I don't know. I feel like they've had a lot of time to put together into for the RB20. So I don't know. All I know is if that gap at Bahrain is like 30 seconds, and it's a Red Bull 1-2, I'm not watching the Formula One season.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
It's going to be an odd season. We are hoping that it's going to be competitive, but if not, there's a lot to be looked at towards 2025, especially the fact that over half the grid is going to be up for grabs next year as far as seats. Now, one of those seats are already filled with Lewis Hamilton announcing that he is going to Ferrari, but we could have a whole new lineup next year depending on how these contracts shake out, which means for a lot of drivers, say a Yuki Tsunoda, maybe a Lance Stroll, the way things have been rolling there, there could be some folks that could be in some new overalls in 2025.
I heard a big rumor is Mercedes are trying to get Alonso, and I think that would be insane if that happens.
I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll see.
I guess the real question is going to be: does Mercedes want a veteran presence with George, or are they ready to say, George, this is your team?
I think they want a veteran presence. Because it's like, let's be honest, has George actually proven that he can lead the team yet?
No.
No.
Has he been given the opportunity, though? This year might be different, with Lewis being 1 foot out the door, especially, when we come back from the summer break. Has George stepped into more of a leadership position or not?
I think that's going to be one of the things to look out for. Where does Saints go? Where does half the grid go for real, for real?
13 open seats, yeah.
What's going to happen with Perez? It's a lot.
I'll be honest with you, I could see Checo at Mercedes next year.
You think they take Perez?
I think so. If they're looking for a veteran, but somebody that's not too old, like Alonso, he's getting up there.
Mm-hmm.
Perez wouldn't be a bad take.
But Checo would be good. He's not really. I like Checo, but he's not going to push. Where he's supposed to pull, and for lack of a better term, he's going to play the team game. He's going to help George develop. Checo. I think Checo is the luckiest unlucky guy in the world.
He's got a lot of rides to pick from.
Because, well, I'm talking about at Red Bull though, because this car, I feel like this car is too fast for him, and that's why he's not getting the most out of it. We look at the discrepancy between him and Max last year. I think the car is just way too
well. When it comes to the RB19, I'm sorry to cut you off. When it comes to the RB19, I read somewhere is that it's a very pointy car.
Which plays. Max wants that thing when he turns it, he wants it to steer immediately.
And fun fact, I don't know if you necessarily care. Supposedly the Ferrari is designed now to be a lot more pointy.
That's only good for drivers who want it, though.
Yeah.
Like Checo, I don't think wants a pointy car.
I think he prefers understeer.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Button preferred understeer, or Ricardo, I think he also preferred understeer.
Yeah. Yep. So I think Checo's really good. I just think he's in a car that does not play to his strengths as a driver. Through no fault of his own. I think him and Max just have such different driving styles, and of course they're going to put a preference on Max because having a car that turns on a dime is obviously going to be the faster option.
So you think Perez goes to Merc? So
I think it's probable.
I'm gonna throw this out there. I think Sainz gets scooped up by Red Bull.
I think so too.
I could see signs over there.
And I think that reunion's gonna they have the potential to cook there. That's a reunion right there.
I think it's probable that what I would say is my most likely scenario is that Checo goes to Mercedes, Carlos Sainz goes to Red Bull. However, I could see Red Bull pulling somebody up from the juniors, but at the same time,
no.
They're going to be hesitant.
No,
that's the thing.
That's what the other team was for.
We can still call it AlphaTauri.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm not saying we should cash out Red Bull.
It's V-Carb.
V-Carb, okay.
Yeah, V-Carb.
But yeah, that's what that team is for, really.
We found out why they changed the name.
Why did they change
Why?
the name?
Oh, because AlphaTauri is the official clothing of Formula One now.
Yeah,
So
I could see
why?
that
Okay.
being a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's why they had to change the name.
Yeah, but why did they? Okay, they could have picked a better name.
I don't know. It's
I
better than
you know,
Hugo Boss Bulls Racing.
it's something we haven't talked about though is that Visa coming in and sponsoring a team, that's big.
Yeah, I haven't seen a bank sponsor, a racing team in a long time.
Well, we did have
Ally Ally
Mastercard.
Ally Financial
Yep.
sponsors Alex Bowman. They're a bank.
I forgot they were a bank. Thank you for remembering.
They're my bank.
Yes, you did tell me to look into them, and I still need to actually.
Well, we also in Formula One the last time. Excuse me. The last time we had a big or a big credit card sponsor, it didn't really end that well for Mastercard Lola back in '97. They wanted
Oh,
they wanted to
MGM
wait until
Motor?
no Mastercard Lola.
Oh, Lola,
They
Lola.
wanted to wait until 1998. They got forced to come in a year early. The car was not ready. They failed to qualify back when this was a thing. They failed to qualify for the Australian Grand Prix, and MasterCard immediately pulled the sponsorship after forcing the team to start early. And that was the end of Lola's effort in Formula One. They didn't even make it to the grid, sadly.
Jeez,
Yeah,
that's
the
crazy.
sponsorship struggles with Formula One teams. It goes back like way, way far.
Yep.
I kind of want to keep talking about these way too early.
Well, who do we
Big
think?
prediction.
Well, who do we think going into 2024 is going to be the team that's going to surprise us? Because VCarb,
VCarb.
that team was
I think
very
they will
good.
have. I think they're going to have the biggest single season jump in performance
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because right now their expectation, what they're talking about, is podiums.
and the
That
way
would
they
be
were running
interesting.
and testing, and again, it is just
That
testing.
is, so I
It
listened.
is a big performance game.
The nice thing about testing, like I watched the whole thing, is you get a lot of garage talk,
Mm-hmm.
like because they got so much dead time to fill that you get a lot of interviews with people and all sorts of different things as teams are talking with the media. You're getting all of these crazy snippets of information, and like now, like preseason testing, like if you want the rumors, that's where the gossip is. And yeah, they were talking about how at VCarb, um, they are talking um, podiums. That is their goal. Is they expect to be getting podiums regularly.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if they start getting podiums, the outcry about Red Bull basically owning two teams is going to get worse, unfortunately. Yeah. And that is something that they need to rectify as soon as possible, because I don't know if it's going to end up like in court or something, but I could see this causing a serious issue going forward if they do not figure out how to deal with the fact that Red Bull basically owns two teams right now.
You know what it's distracted everybody from?
The
Christian.
Other Red Bull issue in the room, which is
Nobody's
Christian Horner.
nobody's talked about that in a minute.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, I don't know. It's just. Did you guys see the press conference earlier today? And it's just like I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say people felt uncomfortable, but it's just like there's like an air around Christian now because of these whole allegations. And it's just, yeah, like Chris said, nobody's talking about it now because we got all these other distractions going on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, I don't know. I don't. I want to say I don't know if he's actually gonna, if anything's actually gonna happen now. I feel like this has just been
The
something to
problem
stir
is
the media up.
the problem is it's dragging. Well, one, it's dragging on. Two, it's feels like that particular situation is turning into a power struggle between the Thai half of the company and the Austrian half of the company, and whatever's going on with this situation is being used as an excuse, but they need to wrap it up before the start of Bahrain, or this is going to have put yet another bad undertone over the season.
I think
over Red Bull.
I don't think this scenario is going to happen, but if they lose Christian, I think that's bad for Red Bull. I think that's extremely bad for Red Bull if they lose Christian.
It most certainly is. And who it's the worst for is Max.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody knows that Christian is a better dad to Max than Joss ever was.
That's
but we collectively as a group, absolutely right. Losing Christian is a death sentence. Maybe not this season, because Jonathan he knows his stuff and he is the heir apparent. And I like Jonathan Wheatley. I think he will eventually do great, because I think he is in line to replace Horner when that time comes. But Adrian Newey has already said he's not leaving the team.
Yeah.
So.
And I wish he would.
That advantage is locked in.
So the Formula One season will start in a few weeks. Cannot wait to get that started. But now it is time to get to nearest the win. We've got one race this weekend, of course, which is Atlanta. And Chris, who are the early picks to win this weekend?
All right. So Atlanta. So Daryl picks Alex Bowman. Good choice. I am picking Chase Elliott, the hometown pick. Michael is taking Joey Logano. My wife, Stephanie, is taking Ross Chastain. Matt White is taking Joey Logano. We have 3 people picking Brad Keselowski this week. We have Marshall Young, Taryn Rodriguez, and Daniel Collins. Jennifer Bryant is taking William Byron. Ricky Keeler is picking Ryan Blaney. And somebody who submitted their name is Dave Blaney, but it is not the Dave Blaney, is picking William Byron. So a little bit of mix of some Hendrick, a lot of Brad Keselowski, and a couple of Joyce. So interesting mix for this week.
Very diverse, nearest to win picks right there. We love to see it.
Yeah.
Well, we also have double the people playing this year that we did last year, which definitely helps.
Yeah, and we are also, if you're still interested, we are posting the links on Twitter, so make sure to get your picks in if you want to play as well. You still got some time to get in and be in the main running at this point. As we're 2 races in.
You got a couple weeks. You probably got 2-3 more weeks before you're at a real disadvantage.
Yeah. So we're going to get ready to get out of here. Remember, I can be found at DK Jr. 12, Chris Fiji Sims, and Michael _Ward 25 on the Twitter. Remember, keep it locked to all of our social media pages for the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and IE Sports Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and TikTok as well. Make sure you also check out www.iesportsradio.com. Learn more about all your favorite shows, get in on the forums, buy some delicious beef jerky, and catch up with any episode of any show you may have missed. And those shows are also available on everywhere you get your podcasts, as well as the YouTube repository, which is a copy of every episode of every show we've ever done. So that'll do it for this episode of The Extra Mile. For Chris and Michael, I'm Daryl. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.